Hey y'all, it's Kim. So it seems like the Democrat Party's having a great week. So these two girls or ladies, excuse me, whatever you want to call them. I mean, I say they're biological females, but they may argue with me. They're non-binaries. Who knows? At this point. But it says two women screaming at Bernie Sanders, give him his check or we're shutting this down. It says the Democrat Party in 2025. This is what you get when parents don't discipline their kids. You get self entitled turds. So let's listen to these two ladies screaming about shutting down this event unless they get to speak on stage, which I don't understand who they are, what's going on. I really don't get it. I just happened to see this on Instagram, but I was like, I mean, they're eating their own at this point, and then we've got them basically choosing like illegal gang members, over American citizens. You're wanting them, or they're approving of higher taxes for people. I mean, they didn't, and choosing biological males over females in sports. I mean, just we got them on the ropes about everything at this point. But hey, I mean, let's let them keep going. Just let them, like Senator Kennedy says, just let them keep talking. But here you go. Let's listen to this clip and then we'll watch Lefties Losing It. Because, I mean, they're just don't seem to be having a bad, or actually not seem to be having a good week. Excuse me. But here you go.
Now, if you do not listen to her, your event will be shut down right now. Right now. Your decision. Make a decision now.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be out. It will be out. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will let. We will. No, we are going to. We are going to let you on the mic. Okay. Okay. All right. So we are trying to be reasonable. We are trying to be reasonable. We are trying to be reasonable. We are trying. We're gonna give you. We're gonna.
Yeah, they're reasonable while they're screaming and pushing the guy in the middle between the two of them. Oh my God, what is going on? I just don't understand what they're screaming and yelling about. We are reasonable. No, you're not. You're pushing the guy. I mean, you're basically sandwiching in between you while you scream at him in his face. I mean, this girl with the longer hair, well, this one with the blonde looking silver streaks or whatever that's supposed to be. I mean, she's acting like a total lunatic. Anyway, I don't understand.
Let you on the mic. We are gonna give you the mic. We will after Senator Sanders. 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 Okay.
So I mean that's kind of crazy. Let's look at the comments on this. I just said this one's from Instagram. It's the same clip of those two girls screaming, and it says, "Can someone who thinks men can become women tell me what is going on here?" That's the best. That's the best one. It says, "This is so embarrassing. We are reasonable," while they're screaming, "You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube." And is this I guess rainbow BS? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Is it written, or it is written, and there is where the gnashing of their teeth will be? I don't know. They eat their own. Someone, oh, excuse me. They eat their own. Awesome. This should be on mainstream media and The View. Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand what's going on. It says no one wants senators or Sanders or AOC. It says, I'm so happy Kamala Blackface didn't win. You see, Democrats are a minstrel show. I don't know what that means. And you want to tell me what's going on? Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what they're screaming at him for. But anyway, let's look at Lefties Losing It. It just leads into the Democrat Party is not having a good time right now. I don't know if you've heard Joe Biden's speech, but pretty much he used colored word. We don't use that word anymore. I mean, I don't know if anybody's told him that, but hey. I mean, you want somebody to show their ignorance? Let them speak. That's what Senator John Kennedy says. Just let them speak.
It's time for Lefties Losing It, and he's back. The puppet president, Joe Biden, has made his first public remarks since he left office in January. And of course, he launched into an incoherent attack against President Donald Trump. It was a mess, folks, a train wreck, just like his presidency. It started badly and it got worse. Let's look at Biden here, ignoring the blaring music and just launching into his speech.
Thank you. You deserve it.
Oh, they had to abruptly cut the music because he wasn't stopping, folks. He was going to keep talking even though no one could hear him.
Wow.
Bless. You know, perhaps they should have kept the music going.
That's what you're all about. That's what the legislation's about. It's about dignity. Simple dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. Regardless of their standing, regardless of economic situation, regardless of who they are. Making sure that more than 16 million Americans who are living with disabilities are treated with dignity is who we are as Americans. That's what it's about. I mean it.
It was classic Joe Biden, gibberish, barely coherent sentences, bursts of anger, shouting, and whatever this is.
Pulling into the parking lot, and I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time.
Wow.
And I was only going in 4th grade. And I remember seeing kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
Okay, Joe, you know, Biden's cognitive decline is nothing new. It was evident even before he became president. Remember this?
Got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair.
That's gross.
Come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I love kids jumping on my lap.
Ew.
He learned about roaches. He learned about kids jumping on his lap, and he loves kids jumping on his lap.
Says the pedo. Oh my gosh. What in the hell kind of speech is that? Oh my gosh. But about 8 months ago, they thought he was going to be the lifeblood of the Democrat Party. But we see how that worked out when he fell flat on his face in that debate. But anyway. Oh my gosh.
That was before he was president. Never forget how the leftist media covered up that man's obvious mental decline. Now, talking about mental decline, let's check in with Bernie Sanders, who was at Coachella. Yes, the millionaire socialist with 3 houses thought a music festival was the perfect place for this anti-Trump sermon.
We need you to stand up to fight for justice. He thinks that climate change is a hoax. He is dangerous.
Meanwhile, people are firebombing Teslas, which is supposed to be the savior of the climate, getting rid of fossil fuel run vehicles. Hello. I'm just pointing it out. I mean, yeah. Oh my gosh, these people are so hypocritical. If it weren't for double standards, they'd have no standards at all. That's for sure.
Seriously wrong. And you and I are going to have to stand up to the fossil fuel industry and tell them to stop destroying this planet.
Yes, I'm sure the drugged up yuppies at Coachella really appreciated that rant. And everything at that music festival is actually dependent on fossil fuels, including the jets the rich and famous take to perform or attend the festival. There was plenty more lefties losing it at Coachella. Here is Kneecap. Kneecap, Google tells me it's a Irish hip-hop group, as if that's a thing. They had the drugged-up yuppies in California singing this delightful tune about Margaret Thatcher.
If anybody was wondering, Margaret Thatcher's still dead.
Yes, the greatest female leader we have seen and died at the age of 87, 12 years ago, and these sad losers are still chanting about it. And rounding up the Coachella lunacy are middle-aged mascara-wearing pop rockers Green Day, who have taken a break from their pro-Palestinian activism to again rail against MAGA.
Well, maybe I'm a man.
Now, it seemed like only last week we were laughing at Democrat Cory Booker's stunt of talking for 24 hours straight. We wondered whether he was wearing an adult nappy. Those questions were never answered. And bless him, Cory Booker is back now, and he's not only providing lols, but hugs.
What are we going to do about protecting LGBTQ rights and trans rights for those who don't have a voice that can speak up? This is not a costume. This is who I am, and I am not about to let him tell me who I am.
Why are you wearing goggles?
Thank you for coming. So first of all, can I have a hug? Yes.
We've already spoken about the insufferable, self-delighted, rich and famous ladies who went into space for a few minutes, but they keep talking about it, so I've got to cover it. Here is Katy Perry.
I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space for the future. And for me, like Gail said, this wasn't a ride, it wasn't a destination, it was a journey, and it was a supernatural one.
And here is Oprah's bestie, Gail King, talking about the backlash to all the hyperbole we've heard from these ladies.
This is what bothers me, because I've certainly read some of the things online coming from people that I know, that I like, that I consider friends. Space is not an either or, it's a both and because you do something in space doesn't mean you're taking anything away from Earth. And what you're doing in space is trying to make things better here on Earth.
And Gail King claims that these overprivileged women were victims of sexism. How?
Somebody said they were only up there for 10 minutes. What the hell difference could they make? Hello, 10 minutes in space. Oh my gosh. And how much fuel did y'all burn to get there? Hello. Let's be reasonable here, but I know some of these people don't know how to be reasonable. We saw it in the first clip with the girls screaming at Bernie Sanders wanting to speak at his rally. Hello. Okay. Cool.
How else can you explain this stunt being called frivolous?
What do you think when people say, oh, it's frivolous? Number one, they call it a ride, which I find very irritating because they never say men went for a ride. What do you say to people who think that this was frivolous?
The men actually spent like probably days and days in space, dummy. Not just like 10 minutes, just enough to get outside the atmosphere and to come right back. Really? So you could feel weightless for a few minutes? Okay, cool. Oh my gosh, this is so dumb.
Or just a ride. You know, I think the message that it sends is very, very powerful.
Lauren Sanchez, whose fiance Jeff owns the rocket, she was reduced to tears by the experience.
And 6 women just did the same flight that, he did. Oh, I just want to keep hugging you. It's really cool. Yeah, and I hope that more people get to see this.
Take some Xanax.
I don't even know how much it's going to change me.
And if you thought that was bad, watch this performance from Katy Perry. Joining me now is Newsweek's Senior Editor-at-Large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel, Josh Hammer. Josh, just how insufferable and self-delighted can these ladies be? We had less carry on when real astronauts stranded in space for months were rescued recently by SpaceX. These overprivileged ladies spent a total of 11 minutes floating around in their designer spacesuits, and now they think it's going to bring about world peace.
Yeah, Rita, you know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the old John Lennon song, Imagine, otherwise known as the worst song ever written. I mean, John Lennon had this song back in the 1970s after the breakup of the Beatles. That it's going to be a world with no borders, no religion, just kumbaya, world peace there. You know, and apparently Katy Perry here and the ladies circumnavigating the globe in the year 2025 are trying to do their best John Lennon Imagine impression there. But I mean, what a bunch of just overindulgent pure exhibitionism. I mean, that really is the word that comes to mind here. I mean, this is obviously a stunt. It is transparently a stunt. These people are not going into space for any other reason other than to kind of raise their fist and say rah rah feminism. I mean, the message, frankly, like I don't really understand exactly what the purpose of this stunt was. I mean, it's kind of like a United Nations like hold hands together kumbaya thing. It's also partially like a feminism thing. But frankly, I mean, when people do this in the name of feminism, they actually set real feminism and real genuine equality of the sexes backwards there. Because I mean, if this is what people think of when they think of feminism, someone who gets dolled up and they put on the designer suits and the makeup. I mean, Katy Perry clearly spending more time actually getting her makeup ready than actually going up into the atmosphere, right? I mean, people see this and they're like, okay, if this is feminism, I'm gonna oppose it. So they're undermining the very cause they purport to champion there. Ultimately, all sorts of these stunts. This is the reason, Rita, why I think the left is just not in a good place in the United States, because it is all pure symbolism. It is all virtue signaling. That's the entire edifice. That's the entire purpose, soup to nuts of all frankly, all that they believe these days.
You're so right. It is just so self-delighted, so divorced from reality. And they probably did spend a great deal more time on their hair and makeup than they actually did in space. They were up there only for 11 minutes. Now, let's talk about Donald Trump. He's going to be very happy with the poll released overnight after a poor showing on a CBS poll a day earlier. This latest poll shows Donald Trump has hit a record high approval rating amid the tariff turmoil. The new Daily Mail Jail Partners polling was conducted between April 10 and April 14, and it shows the president's approval rating sitting at 54%. Josh, what's really interesting here is that Donald Trump remains most popular with young voters. Among those aged 18 to 29, the president's approval rating is 64%. And it's in their 50s for every other age group. That's pretty incredible, Josh.
So there's a few things that are very, very interesting about those graphs and that data that we all just saw there. So going back to the Trump baseline number there, he's currently at around 53% per this poll. Even at his lowest point of the second term thus far, he's at around 49%. 49%, believe it or not, Rita, in contemporary American polling is actually very good as far as a president's approval rating goes. I'm not sure that Donald Trump reached 49% really in his entire first term. Neither, for that matter, did Barack Obama in his entire second term. Joe Biden definitely did not. We probably have not seen presidential approval ratings this high since the very earliest days of Barack Obama, prior to 2010, prior to Obamacare, back when the country was still enraptured by these false promises of hope and change. It's been a long time is the point there. So Donald Trump is clearly on a high. People that are trying to tear him down, that are saying that he's in a constitutional crisis and he's in a showdown with the courts. What's going to happen with this El Salvadoran migrant there? DEI, they're calling him a racist, as they would do there. The American people aren't buying it. The American people have seen this play before. And when you cry wolf enough times, Rita, which the Democrat media complex here in the United States has been doing on and on and on and on for the past decade.
Well, and if you keep calling somebody names, eventually people stop listening. They just tune it out. They're just like, let me watch him versus listening to these other people talk about him.
Since Trump's descent down the gilded escalator at Trump Tower in summer 15, at some point, the American people are just going to say, enough, I call your bluff, I don't buy it. That's what's happening right now.
Absolutely. And we've seen his poll numbers always be underreported anyhow, which shocked me that it was still happening in 2024, because we saw that in 2016. And it was pretty consistent throughout the 2024 campaign as well, where the reality did not match the polls. The reality ended up being a lot better for Donald Trump. And the bad news continues for the Democrats. Have a listen to this shock poll result. This shook up CNN.
This, to me, is one of the most shocking pieces of poll data that I truthfully have seen this year, or maybe in any prior year.
Really?
Yes, really, because I want you to take a look. Cares more about the needs for people like you. You mentioned the Kate Paul. We got a tie, even after this tariff war had already started, split between Democrats and Republicans on how people feel which party cares more for needs of people like you. And why is that so surprising? Because I want you to take a look at prior years. Democrats always lead on this question. Back in 2017, before the 2018 midterms, 13-point lead. 2005, a 23-point lead for Democrats. 1994, which was a big Republican year, a 19-point lead for Democrats. And now, all of a sudden, a tie? All of a sudden, the Democrats, who are the party of the people, no more. We get a tie on this question, on a question that has traditionally overwhelmingly been a Democratic advantage.
This is a stunning turnaround, Josh, and I think the tariff policy, as unpopular as we are told it is, might have something to do with that.
Well, it has a lot to do with that, actually, because it is emblematic of Donald Trump's working class mentality there. I mean, this is a man who has fundamentally reshaped the Republican Party. And people say that it's Donald Trump's party. No, there's actually a very long historical school of thought when it comes to this more nationalist, populist strand of conservatism. I think back actually as far back as Benjamin Disraeli, the 19th century British prime minister, he coined the term one nation conservatism. It's this idea that the working class and the middle class really is the real of the country. For far too long, the Republican Party veered in a pro-elite, pro-Wall Street direction. They lost track of who they were. They completely abandoned the very people that made this country great in the first place. Donald Trump is bringing it back there, and his pro-tariff, pro-industrial policy measures, I think, are very much part of the appeal. He recognizes that our economists, our ruling elites, both parties, went way too far down the rabbit hole on maximizing vague nostrums such as economic efficiency and consumer surplus. Well, what about the notion of manufacturing? What about just making stuff there? What about the fact that China has just taken all of America's national security critical supply chains there? This stuff actually matters a lot. Donald Trump's the guy to do it there. He's the champion of the working class. And you see right there in the CNN poll, Harry Enton there is a CNN guy. I've known Harry since I was 18 years old. We go way back. I feel, Rita, that Harry's trying to tell the CNN audience a message there. I'm not sure the CNN audience wants to listen to that message though.
No, I think when he brings the news like that, they just turn off. Now, we talk about constitutional crisis. This, I think, is the real constitutional crisis. We've had another Obama-appointed judge, this time Indira Talwani, blocking the Trump administration from cancelling a program introduced by Joe Biden that granted parole and the right to work to more than 500,000 immigrants from countries like Haiti and Venezuela. What happens next year, Josh? What can the administration do about these activist judges who are undermining the authority of the duly elected president?
Well, there's a lot, frankly, that Congress and the president acting in tandem can do. Fortunately for Donald Trump, his party Republicans control both houses of Congress. So if they actually wanted to, they could solve this problem essentially overnight. So here are among the various things they could do. You can, of course, get the ball rolling on judicial impeachment if there is a truly rogue judge. Now, then, admittedly, that would require a 2/3 majority in the Senate, so it's a bit of a long shot there. But you could pass legislation, Congress could pass, and the president could sign into law such things as jurisdiction stripping legislation. Congress has the ability in our constitutional order to basically dictate what types of cases federal judges can hear. If Congress wants to say that in a certain type of case, a certain cause of action, the federal courts have no jurisdiction, it's only state courts and local courts that hear it, Congress can do that there. When it comes to some of these so-called nationwide injunctions, which are flagrantly and frankly offensively unconstitutional, Congress could abolish that overnight tomorrow if it wanted to. Congress has full authority to detail what remedies a federal court can issue and cannot issue there. And frankly, Rita, I mean, if the courts really ultimately do want to play this game, they really want to go down there. Ultimately, I think it's worth bearing in mind. In the Federalist number 78 from Alexander Hamilton, one of our great founding fathers, he famously said, that the judiciary is the least dangerous branch because it has neither force nor will, but merely judgment, and depends upon the efficacy of the executive branch, even for the enforcement of its own judgments. I emphasize that latter part there because it's something of a truism. The courts literally cannot enforce their own orders. In fact, the mere fact that a judicial opinion has been rendered in our system, it is the persuasive ability of that opinion that controls whether the executive will enforce it. So at some point, frankly, their own hubris really could get the better of them.
Now, this is big news. Earlier today, New York Attorney General Letitia James, who was behind so much.
Have y'all noticed every single one of these people that brought cases against Trump always get some kind of fraud allegations against themselves? Oh, it's like reaping and sowing. Some people call it karma, but I say reaping and sowing. You reap what you sow. So anyway, she's going to reap the whirlwind, hopefully, in court. But let's see.
Much of the lawfare against Donald Trump in New York has now been referred herself for possible prosecution over allegations of mortgage fraud. What else can you tell me about this, Josh?
Well, this is pretty brand new stuff across the transom, but it looks to me like Tish James listed the Commonwealth of Virginia, the state of Virginia, as her primary residence back when she was applying for a mortgage back in 2023. The problem is that Tish James has been the Attorney General of New York State for far longer than that there. So, I mean, square that circle for me. How can you legally get away with calling one state your primary residence, try to get a more favorable mortgage interest rate type loan, and on the other hand, you're the Attorney General of a different state there? But, you know, Rita, this is really nothing new. I mean, Democrat lawmakers, Democrat prosecutors, they play by an entirely different set of rules. I mean, Tish James, we all remember her for being front and center of the lawfare of the Democrat.
If it weren't for double standards, they wouldn't have any standards. Remember that. It's always hypocrisy. They'll say, or they'll accuse the other person of what they're actually doing. So anyway, just know that's the playbook of Goebbels. Anyway, the propaganda minister for Hitler.
Lawfare complex, a sprawling campaign to try to deprive Donald Trump of getting his second term in office there. I think about Fani Willis as well. Fani Willis is in Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County, Georgia. Fani Willis was on the wrong side of the law as well. So many of these Democrat prosecutors, Rita, they just flip their hands. They say, you know what? I am the lawyer here. I'm the prosecutor. Screw you. I'm going to make the rules here. You better come at me there. But you know what? The Trump DOJ is calling her bluff in this case, Tish James, because she could find herself on the wrong side of the law for good. It'll depend on which judge they draw there, but I like what I see so far. I like the aggressiveness of the administration bringing these charges.
A bit of irony given the cases she pursued against Donald Trump, but there's got to be a reckoning for some of these activist prosecutors. She launched her own campaign on the premise of getting Trump. She wasn't even hiding how she was going to politicize.
And I don't see how the Bar Association of New York or wherever she got her license, why they wouldn't have stepped in. That's pretty ridiculous. If she's actively saying she's going to pursue this man and still they allowed her to continue to practice law, that just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't see how that would even be legal on their end if they know that you've already got almost like a prejudiced DA in a jurisdiction or whatever they're supposed to be in. Like, I just don't see how that's possible. But I guess they get away with all kinds of stuff if you have a D anywhere around your name. Anyway, let's finish this up.
That office.
Yeah, 100%. She literally ran in 2018 for Attorney General of New York State on a platform of, I don't like Donald Trump and I am going to get him by any means necessary. There's actually kind of a clever legal analogy here. So in the Constitution, there is a prescription, there's a ban on what is called a bill of attainder. A bill of attainder goes back to the old English Star Chamber in like 7th century England. And a bill of attainder was a king's writ or a parliamentary act of legislation that would single out an individual by name, meaning it was not a general provision. It was just singling out one person for sole exclusive punishment there. So the analogy that I like to draw is that when Tish James ran for office there, she basically ran a bill of attainder political campaign. Now, that's not necessarily illegal. I mean, we have a First Amendment. You can say a lot of crazy stuff on the campaign trail. People, frankly, do it all the time there. But it's morally repulsive. It's morally repulsive there, and it says a lot about her character, frankly, or lack thereof.
Josh, Hannah, thanks so much for your time tonight.
All right. Let me see if I can
It's
find.
time for Lefties.
I want to find the clip of her actually saying that when she was running. Let's see here. There's those crazy girls. Let's see. What is her name? Letitia James. I may not have it spelled right, but okay. Letitia James on getting Trump. Let's see if we have that clip somewhere on here. New York AG campaigned on bankrupting Trump and put him in jail. She nearly succeeded. Yet tonight, Letitia James bullshit charges against Trump are being eviscerated. When is this? October 17th. Let's see. Letitia James was in jail. She's on video stating clearly and pledging she would get Trump when she was running for Attorney General. Well, where's the clip? How is that not proof of bias? Yeah, let's see. Reminder that Letitia James ran. Okay, let's see if this is it. I want to hear her.
Union. Because we know here in New York, a man who succeeds by tearing others down, who gets rich off the backs of others, whose hateful rhetoric is poisoning our democracy, stands as an affront to all that I believe in and all that this country and state represents. Union.
Well, I thought
because
he was
we know
actually
here
say
in New
it. I mean, I'm trying to make sure we get the receipts, just getting Trump for anything she could find. Okay, maybe this is, I haven't forgotten this. Letitia James, she's getting Trump. Okay, so let's see if we can get this one.
What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
I know my name personally.
Wow, that's pretty
What is
sick.
fueling my soul right now?
That somebody could run on that. Let's see. You can see the rage, see them from Trump. Oh, takes office. When was this? Okay, November 6th. Well, anyway, I mean, you pretty much saw what she said. Letitia James' campaign on getting Trump, the Stalin-style lawfare, is obvious and provable. That alone suggests a civil rights violation since government is prohibited from using its power unless the accused commits a crime. And then it's not fascism when we do it. Let's see. Letitia James can go on. The Biggest Loser. Trump got his almost $500 million back. Anyway, let's see. Political witch hunt. AG campaign. If elected, she would get Trump, and now she denies it. Let's go to the videotape. Let's see what she has to say here.
The President of the United States has complained that I'm engaging in some sort of political witch hunt, that I've got some personal vendetta against him, that I campaigned against him. That is not true.
This illegitimate president who sits in the White House.
That president, because he's not my president, he's an illegitimate president. His days are numbered.
We've got to get ready to mobilize, and we've got to get ready to agitate and irritate until victory is won, but more importantly, until Trump is defeated.
Wow.
I
So anyway, you see how biased this woman was during her campaign and all that stuff. Letitia James claims she was never biased against Trump, but here she is, in her own words, saying the opposite. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these people wind up getting themselves in trouble, but hey, whatever. Let them speak, like John Kennedy said. Just let them keep talking, and they'll eventually get their own selves in trouble. And like he said, you don't interfere when your enemy's kicking their own butt. He used the other word, but hey, they're just killing themselves, eating their own, like the two girls in the first video. But anyway, y'all have a good afternoon. I'm gonna try to get maybe 14 and 15 of the JFK files loaded up, but it'll just take a little bit. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye.